This lesson teaches you the importance of planning websites. You will learn about storyboarding as a planning tool and be introduced to methods for designing websites using creative, alternative interface styles and various navigational approaches. Readers of web pages don't just read or view the information provided on the page. They interact with it in ways different than they do with printed material. Designing how the user is able to access and interact with the information in your documents is critical to the success of your web pages and website. Documents designed for viewing via the web may contain and organize many forms of interactive media, including text, numbers, charts and graphs, still illustrations or photographs, animations, video and digital audio. The World Wide Web is a convergence of technologies. Effective web design requires a combination of publishing, page layout, editorial and technical writing. Information systems design, effective structuring of related web pages, and user interface design, images, concepts, characteristics, and sequence of interactions. One of the major challenges in effective design of websites is informing the user while guiding them through a complex body of linked information. Keys to the design of any web page or website include the intended audience. Determine who will use the site. Should you use HTML 2.0, HTML 3.0 or other enhanced proprietary tags? Should you provide a text interface for users with modem connections or non-graphical browsers? The objective of the site. An analysis is useful for determining the overall purpose of the site. This will drive the content to be included. The overall structure. Determine how the site will be organized in terms of the links from the home page to other pages and links to related sites. Navigational issues. How will users navigate within the site? For example, should all pages have a home page button on them? The use of graphics and other media. Consider if icons, freeform graphics, photographs, sounds, or video clips should be included. Use of conventions. What conventions will you use throughout the site for internal consistency? For example, should a copyright notice be placed on the bottom of all pages? Books have tables of contents, copyright notices, chapters, title pages, page numbers, headers and footers, footnotes, indexes and glossaries. A website may be organized like a book. In fact, it may make new users comfortable to see familiar landmarks in the electronic world. However, the web adds the capabilities of hypermedia, creating exciting new ways to find information and getting hopelessly lost. A good strategy is to consistently apply a few basic document design and formatting principles to every single web page you create. You can establish overall standards for your web pages and website with additional standards for navigational pages and content pages. This way, your visitors will have a better chance of finding what they want and knowing where they are. Remember that only one page from your website is visible at a time, the current page. So users instinctively begin to build a mental picture that they use to predict the scope and structure of your website. The user's perception and assumptions about the organization of your website can have a major impact on its use and effectiveness. Users need predictability and structure with clear functional and graphic continuity between the various components and subsections of your site. Banner graphics, signature icons, or other graphic elements can be very useful in reinforcing website identity and establishing continuity between the various sections of your website. Carefully organized graphic identity and user interface elements can clarify and reinforce website structure and make it easier on the user when first visiting your site. A website with many web pages may best be organized using a home page with links to various subsections of the website. Each of these subsections could have a web page linked to individual documents comprising the subsection or to other navigational pages linked to the individual documents. The subsection page may only link to one document, which in turn links to another document. The best example of this may be a reference guide which is organized into chapters with topics or documents with volumes, sections and subsections. The goal of your web design is the production of a product for publication. Those familiar with large publishing projects will feel comfortable with the process. Team members will include writers, graphic artists, technical and proofing editors, plus those who know HTML to incorporate the content into web format, server administrators, and possibly computer programmers for advanced applications. All of the planning, scheduling, and management that go into publishing a book will be required for creation of a successful website. There is no best way to organize your content for publication on the web. This decision will be based on the type of content you have, the audience you are attempting to reach, or even the speed of the connection available to your server or to your users. It is crucial for you to give serious consideration to your information model to ensure effective use and management of your content. This will also assist you in deciding what types of navigation, indexing, and searching you might need to add to your site. There are some fundamental ways to view the organization of content. Start by asking yourself some questions about what you are trying to accomplish. Are you trying to describe a process? This may be giving instructions on how to register for an event, configure a new device, or bake some cookies. Each of these probably requires that the user proceed step by step through a series of instructions. Clearly, the user should not hop around, taking the steps in random order. This suggests that you use a linear structure to your website. Here, the user can go forward to the next step or backwards through the previous steps, but is prevented from jumping ahead without passing through the intervening pages. Are you trying to create an information resource? This may be the publication of your product information, an historical archive, or a tourism information kiosk. In these cases, it is likely that your content is already well structured. It may be organized into sections, chapters, or topics. These divisions are related, but it will not be necessary or likely that the users pass through all the pages in the site. Your structure should reflect this organization, enabling the users to quickly see and access what's available. A hierarchical structure may serve best in this instance. A hierarchical structure might be described as a tree. Users can move up and down through the information, staying within the branches of specific content. It is possible, of course, to modify this to allow some lateral movement between branches as shown in figure, giving the users greater freedom and access while retaining a sense of organization. Is your content not so structured? Is the information accumulating or changing rapidly? You might be creating a current news source for a research project, a demonstration area, for a think tank, or reporting on a live event. For this, you will likely be forced to create an associative web structure. Specific areas within a web may be highly structured, but paths through the information are determined by tangential associations like new ideas or developments. Sites based on web structures are likely to be highly dynamic, with new content and links emerging with every visit. In fact, such sites may even permit users to add their own content. Given that the World Wide Web is always under construction, your site will probably evolve over time. You may have to completely revise the structure of your site at some point. Or your site may be like many cities with strict zoning regulations in some areas and less structure in others. Of paramount concern is the perspective of your users. They must be able to quickly identify and access the resources they need. The structure of your site must always support that goal. Building a website can be compared to building a house. Before the construction begins, an architect must design the house and draw up a set of blueprints for the builder. In a similar way, before building a website, the design should be considered and a rough sketch of the site should be developed. A common approach taken is referred to as storyboarding. Storyboarding involves creating a rough set of screens that describe various characteristics of a proposed site. This can be done with storyboarding applications, rapid prototyping tools, or old-fashioned paper and pencil. The important point is that the designer is forced to think through various aspects of the site and engage in a hypothetical walkthrough of the site. Important things to consider during the stage include the intended audience. What will they want? How will they want it? Content chunks. How will the content be broken to best fit the pages of the web? Navigational issues. Which chunks are linked? How are they linked? How else can or should the users be allowed to access this page? How will links to other servers be presented? The use of graphics and other media. What will the page look like? Is the content area big enough? Can the other page elements be easily seen and used? Use of conventions. Will each page contain a logo, copyright notice, feedback link? How will they be placed? The storyboarding process helps to bring out these issues. This process may take several walkthroughs to come up with a satisfactory design. Every consideration and decision is a compromise that must be considered carefully if the site is to be successful. You may be tempted to decide that these issues do not concern you because of the limited scope of your project. Even if your intent is only to create a small document, like an online brochure, careful planning will allow you to take maximum advantage of the power of the hypermedia or multimedia environment while creating a functional, effective resource for your prospective audience. Designers of web pages should have a basic understanding of graphical user interface design. Though many users still view the web through text-based browsers or with image loading turned off in their browsers, the web is a fundamentally graphical environment. Within a web page, users are able to read text, view images, and interact with its elements. Designing the interface used to view and control the access to your information is critical to the success of your web page and website. A graphical user interface includes the images and concepts used to convey function and meaning, the detailed visual characteristics of every component of the graphic interface, and the functional sequence of interactions over time that produce the characteristic look and feel of the web page and associated hyperlinks. The quality and consistency of these elements will train your audience in how to best use your site. Try to properly balance the visual sensation of pages with graphic representations, text information, and links. The visual impact of your web page motivates the reader to investigate your content. Graphics and proper page layout and typography help make dense text documents easier to read. As these elements are not easily controlled through HTML, creativity in the use of styles, lists, tables, images, and other HTML elements is required to even approximate the power desktop publishing applications have provided in the print-based media. The primary graphic design constraint in web pages are the vertical, list-oriented structure of HTML and the bandwidth limitation on user access rates. This limits the ability to mix and format graphics, video, and audio media with text in an HTML document. The highly graphic interface design of multimedia presentations is inappropriate for use on the web because of the high communications bandwidth requirements. Purely graphic menu designs for web pages which depend on one large graphic with embedded linkage maps are likely to tax the patience of most users who use modems. Even with the higher bandwidths as may be available on an intranet, purely graphic systems for menus and home page navigation typically offer only a fraction of the choices and linkages that might be available if the same screen area was filled with lists or hyperlinked text. Graphic menu schemes usually offer only 6 to 8 choices to the user before they become visually overwhelming. Purely graphic schemes often require multiple nested graphic menus that are an inefficient use of both the network bandwidth and the user's time. The same difficulties apply to the use of audio, video, or virtual reality. Your task as a developer is to balance the benefits and costs related to the use of these features. If you are targeting users that are accessing through modems, you need to be very Spartan in your use of high bandwidth elements, only using a large element where it will have a powerful effect. With ISDN and cable access on the rise, this restriction will be eased, but not removed. Of course, if your audience is on a high-speed LAN or WAN, you can spread your wings. However, understand that even in high bandwidth environments, high usage can slow a network to a crawl. Perhaps this will be the price of a successful site. Perhaps most important is that you attempt to never give the users something they didn't expect. If there is a large image, provide a small thumbnail representation or text link that indicates the size of the download. This way, the user can make the choice on how much time and bandwidth to use. Web page designers should take advantage of the real power of the web, the hypermedia links. The ability to embed text and graphic hyperlinks offers functional power and flexibility in designing interlinked, interactive information systems. Integral to the structure of a website is the ability to easily navigate within the site. This can be accomplished in many ways using a main menu. A main menu provides a launching point to other parts of the site and should make clear the structure of the site, including an overview of the content and the resources available. A main menu can be implemented in several ways, including a clickable image map allows the user to click on a context-sensitive portion of an image, and an action is executed by a CGI script running on a server or as a client-side map. Icons used for menu buttons provide an alternative approach to an image map. This approach does not require a CGI script running on a server. A menu icon is usually an inline image enclosed in an anchor that links to another location. Hypertext links provide the most straightforward method of creating a main menu. Using this method, hyperlinks can be enclosed in a table, an unordered list, or a menu list. This method may not be the most visually pleasing method, but it is the least intensive, as images need not be downloaded. Navigation also includes being able to backtrack or go forward without having to always return to a main menu on a central page. This can be accomplished through the use of a button bar that is available on all pages.
The structure of a button bar should reflect the structure of the content.
It should contain at least a way to go to the next chunk of information, back to home, and up a level in the structural organization. It should probably be a link to some explanation of how the graphical elements, links, and structure work for the user. Equally important is the ability to easily return to the home page of a website. One of the distinguishing characteristics of a website is that it is always work in progress. Web pages should constantly be updated and improved. Often, individuals and organizations just want to establish a web presence and put up information as soon as it becomes available. In time, they will refine and improve the site. Many sites you visit will undergo major facelifts between visits. Maintaining and revising your website is also something that will become easier with experience. A lot of experimentation may be involved, and it is necessary enough to try an idea and see what kind of feedback and response you get from end users. Revising a site may entail adding additional content, fine-tuning the structure, or redesigning the entire site. If your site was planned well and you want to add additional content, it should be fairly easy to do. Adding additional content to a site adds complexity, not only for the designer of the site, but for the end user as well. Overwhelming end users with vast amounts of information can backfire on you, particularly if the structure of the site is not clear and easy to navigate. Users may become confused and frustrated if they cannot find what they want quickly. For example, you may have a page dedicated to press releases for your organization. Whenever new press releases become available, it is easy to append the new releases to that page. However, if the press release page is buried so deep in the site that end users never access it, you can tell this from your logs, this important information is of no use. Maybe it is time to revise the structure so that more users are aware of the press and improve the access. Other scenarios which require more radical revision may include sites that were poorly designed from the start and/or are poorly implemented. If this is the case, you should carefully evaluate the existing site and determine its failures before planning the revised site. Without an understanding of the problems, you are probably going to repeat the same design errors. Again, always have other users evaluate your revised site and the tools available to evaluate the redesigned site and benchmark it with the original site. Sometimes sites are changed for the worse and it pays to go back to a previous version. So keep the files for the previous generation of your site just in case you need to go back.